How's that? So just sit down.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining on Zoom and in person. We are delighted to host this collaborative book club with Faith Communities Go Green and Congregation Beth Adam. I'm Ann Cooper. I'm part of the climate change team here at Congregation Beth Adam, and so is Susan Carlson, who will be leading our discussion tonight. You want me to say, I don't have like a bio or anything, but okay. I will just say that Susan is and has been an integral part of our climate team since its very beginning several years ago, and also a participant in Faith Communities Go Green for a long time, and we are thrilled to have her here to lead our discussion. Thank you, Susan.
Okay. All right, shall we start, Becca? Yeah, okay. So welcome everybody. There are some people that don't know each other here. So if this group could introduce themselves, that would be great.
I'm Faith Pittenger.
Faith, we cannot see you. And maybe perhaps you don't wish to be seen. Okay, it's fine. Okay, well, there's Faith Pittenger out there from Congregation Beth Adam. Say your congregation, that's helpful.
Yeah, I'm Congregation Beth Adam. Okay, we're going to the back. Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm the rabbi at Beth Adam.
Hi, I'm Brian. I go with Lauren at Beth Adam.
I'm Betsy Turnbull, and I'm a member of Presbyterian Church of Wyoming. I'm Barb Tobias, Beth Adam.
Okay. And let's go to the screen. Melissa, why don't you? Okay. Oh, you're muted.
Hi, I'm Melissa Weiss. I'm a member of Congregation Beth Adam.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Winder. I'm also a member of Beth Adam.
And I'm Phil Byrne, and I also am a member of Beth Adam.
4 in a row. I'm Michael Goldman. I'm a member of Beth Adam.
My name is Mike Eck. My wife and I live in Westchester, and we attend church at both Christ Church Glendale and St. Simon of Cyrene in Lincoln Heights.
How about you, Janelle?
Well, I'm Janelle Allen, and I am here because this is my focus area and my doctoral program. Thank you.
We got Kim and Judith.
You can call me Judy, and I'm sorry you can't see me. I don't know what's going on. I am Lauren, Rabbi Lauren's mother-in-law, and Brian's mother. And she invited me to attend.
Good. Welcome. Kim? Kim, are you there? Okay. Not sure there. Becca, you want to say a few words about yourself?
I'm Becca Desai. I'm a Zoroastrian, and I'm with Faith Communities Go Green. This program is being co-sponsored by Beth Adam and the Education Lifestyles Working Group of Faith Communities Go Green. And I welcome all of you here, and I thank Beth Adam for doing this with us.
Thank you. Okay, well, then we got our intros. I have to look at a screen and look at you, so I'm sorry if I'm not always looking at everybody. Plus, I have reading glasses on. I have a choice of either seeing the people on the screen or seeing you without being blurry, so I might have to do one of those numbers, but I can do this. So anyway, all right, so we're here to talk about Orbital. And for those who are not familiar with the Booker Prize, the Booker Prize is awarded once a year to what is considered by the committee to be the best novel in the English language that has been written that year. The Booker is a very prestigious award and tends to be given to either emerging or, well-published authors, but it's usually literary fiction. So not necessarily popular fiction. So at any rate, the Booker is always interesting. And so this year, or actually in 2024, it was awarded to Samantha Harvey. Samantha Harvey is the author of 5 novels, one memoir that Faith and I were talking about a minute ago, The Sleepless Unease, which was a year she couldn't sleep. She has a MA in philosophy and a PhD in creative writing, and she's a professor at Bath Spa University in Bath, UK. She's won numerous other prizes for other books. She was shortlisted for the Orwell Prize for, this is significant, so remember what I'm saying. I'll come back to it. She was shortlisted for the Orwell Prize for political fiction, the Ursula Le Guin Prize for fiction, and the Climate Fiction Prize. This book was listed for all of those prizes. Okay. She's a winner of 2 other awards plus the Booker. So, Lit Hub, and there was a Lit Hub essay that said something very interesting. The author of that essay describes Orbital as space pastoral. So I was wondering if somebody would like to weigh in on what they make out of space pastoral fiction. What does that mean to you when you think about, reading this novel?
I'll go. I think it's like not your typical space novel that's sci-fi and crises always happening here and there. It's more, like she says, it's the mundane and the extraordinary, all in one. But it just flows. It's just one day in their lives on the space station.
And what does the word pastoral come to mind for anybody when you say you talked about space, the space part, but what about the pastoral part?
Peaceful, peaceful, and I noted in the book that when one of the characters was looking at Earth, they said it looked like heaven to them. So it was peaceful, maybe.
Peaceful, right?
Yes, right. Yes.
Pastoral to me is from the, I know who pastoralists were in the ancient times. Those were the people who raised animals on pastures and grasslands, and pastoral is a word referred to that community that lives in harmony with nature, with the plant world and the animal world, like one family.
Yes. So it's a shepherd watching his flock. And it sort of is a longing when you think about pastoral fiction. It's a longing for an idyllic past. When we think of pastoral kind of music, poetry, it's always a longing for this idyllic past. And so she says the space station is a repository of disintegrated diplomatic dreams. And so maybe, when we think space pastoral, it's a longing for something that is coming to an end that once was. And in 2030, the space station will be deorbited. There'll be no more space station. So you can see why she called it space pastoral fiction, I think, huh? kind of, that is a sort of sad note to start out on. How we doing so far? Okay, the next question I have for you is this fiction? I mean, it got a fiction prize, but do you think how did it sit with you as fiction? Go ahead, Barb.
It sat with, I think it's fiction because you're privy to the thoughts of the individuals, which is fiction. So like historical fiction, conversations and things are created by the author. And yet it's based on a true event.
Yeah.
And I loved the mechanism of 24 hours.
Right.
That was, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's fiction.
Yeah.
We don't know that they thought that or had those dreams or that astronaut's mom died. Or...
Right, right. Sometimes people said it's almost barely fiction. Kind of like, because she researched this heavily with NASA and with the astronauts. And so everything that she talks about occurs on the space station, or what happens, how they do their duties, what the atmosphere is like, et cetera, is as close to the truth as she could make it. So it was a lot went into it from that. So it's also, in some sense, science fiction, right? Could we call it science fiction? Anybody want to comment on that? I mean, would you say, go ahead, Marilyn.
I think I see it more as science reality. I mean, because of the building of the characters, the in-depth building of each character and how they react to what's happening around them and to each other and how they relate to each other. So I don't see it as science fiction. It's more reality.
I think that's this is Michael online. I agree with Marilyn. I hadn't thought of it. That's very neatly phrased. But I don't see anything that happens on the space station as fictional. And I don't know enough about the space station. I mean, the author researched it, and I'm trusting that she really was representing things factually. So I didn't see that as being, I think, again, scientific reality is that's well put, because I think that it was all that part of the story was factual.
Yeah.
I do have some question. I don't mean to go on and on here. Sorry, Susan.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't know any astronauts. I have heard several astronauts speak. I mean, many in person at lectures. And I was thinking about this before tonight. I don't think any of the ones I've heard actually were on the space station. They were all Apollo or Mercury, And they're all Americans too, by the way. I didn't hear any cosmonauts speak or any of the other nationalities. But I do wonder, and she may have interviewed a lot of space station folks. I don't know if it said that on the cover of the copy I had or not, but I wasn't sure that most of the astronauts I've heard, I don't think they necessarily would think the way a lot of these folks on the space station were thinking. But the Apollo missions were very different from the space station.
Right.
And that's what you have more time to be thinking about the greater issues involved with Earth and space, whereas the Apollo astronauts and those folks, I mean, it's a completely different mission.
Right.
So that convinced me that she might be onto something.
Okay.
This is Phil. Well, it was reminiscent of another piece of science fiction or science fable, namely the book that came out a couple years ago entitled The Martian, which tells the story of somebody who is an astronaut who's forced to live on his own, by his own devices for about a year until he can be rescued by the rest of his crew. And he apparently, in the course of writing this novel. He submitted the chapters to a podcast that he ran, and it was sort of vetted by other science type people. So it was as realistic as possible. So these are sort of similar.
Yeah, and remember what I said, Ursula Le Guin Prize, okay, is for science fiction. And this novel won that award. So this is a novel that is many different things. It won a political novel prize also. So it's all wrapped up in one. And that makes it extraordinary from that point of view.
Regarding
okay.
fiction,
Go ahead.
I have one final thought. Somebody else mentioned dreams in the introduction process, and I would say the dreams piece was one of my favorite parts. I know sometimes I remember my dreams and they are bizarre, and we'll call them fiction. And I would put, if there's a piece of the book that is closest to fiction, it would be her perception of their dreams.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we know, moving on, that we know it's 24 hours, 16 orbits, right? Around the Earth with morning every 90 minutes. So what a crazy, disorienting, and it was disorienting for me trying to read it. I don't know if other people felt disoriented, like, well, wait a minute, it's morning again. Thought we just did morning. What day is it? Does it matter what day it is? I mean, it just felt as I don't know. How did you all react to that? Anybody want to comment on that? Yeah, Barb.
I agree, it was really disorienting, and I couldn't track the orbit either, if it was northeast, southwest, and relative to the landmarks that were in the book. It was quite confusing, and I think I just decided to just let that go. And just not try to hang on to those details, because I couldn't decipher the orientation.
Yeah, I kind of ended up that way too. Yeah.
Well, and interestingly, though, isn't that what the astronauts on the space station have
Yes.
to do? They're living in a situation that is in time but beyond time.
Yeah.
And there's no way you could do that without just suspending
all of that. Yeah.
What is the natural rhythm of things.
Yeah. And she wanted us to feel like what it feels like to be in space. And I felt that myself. Yeah, you too, Marilyn. Yeah, so that's sort of an interesting aspect of the novel, is to feel what that felt. And the whole narrative is driven by a pacing of sensation. You spend a lot of time with, like, here's another sensation, somebody's having another sensation, and these activities that they do might seem almost lesser important in some ways than what they're feeling, thinking, what these different sensations are that they're having as they move around in this crazy created world in space.
Several points, like the physical toll of being.
Can we hear? Can you speak up just a little?
Can't hear.
Okay. She mentioned at several different points, I think, the physical toll on the astronauts of like losing bone mass, like how hard it was for them to exercise and try and stay in shape in zero gravity. And I thought that was interesting, sort of the being transported outside of the normal bounds of living on Earth, that it takes a real physical and mental toll.
Right. It's like we're not supposed to be there.
Right. Yeah. It's like overreach in a way.
Yeah. So in terms of the characters, they've been described as preliminary characters, sort of rudimentary characters, in some sense, not being the focus of I think the Earth is the focus, the main character here. These are the rudimentary characters. And I wondered if you wanted more about the characters. It did feel like fine like they were, or did you want sort of to know more?
It's interesting. I didn't feel super connected to any of the characters. I felt like they were a little bit abstract still, and just sort of passing through each one's narrative. Yeah, I didn't feel super strongly about them.
Yeah. How about others?
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that. I thought the characters were, I found them kind of representational. Not all that, and this sounds, maybe I don't mean it quite, it didn't seem all that, they had a lot of human qualities, but I really wasn't connected to their human qualities. But that, I mean, that's not universally true throughout the book. I don't want to say that because there's certainly moments that that was not true. But I do think they were kind of representational. And I found, I assumed that that was very a conscious uh, effort by the author to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that I guess her name is pronounced Chi. That
Yeah.
it was Japanese, the one whose mother passed away. I thought they built her character the most. You know, I felt a connection to her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think in terms of character development, it's all tied into the fact that we're looking through Samantha Harvey's eyes at 24 hours in the space station, just one day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, even if they did one day in the life of all of these people, you wouldn't develop our characters fully.
Right.
And we get she more fully developed because she has a major life event occur within the course of 24 hours. So in that sense, it's consistent with the setup of the novel.
Right. They've been described as maybe different aspects of one character. You know, in fact, they even say something like that at one point. I think page, let me go to page 28. This one is this one is that. Let's see, this is on page 28. They've talked about before about a feeling they often have, a feeling of merging, that they are not quite distinct from one another, nor from the spaceship. And they describe that each of them has a different function, and you may remember that. Anton, the quiet and dry with his humor, sentimental, crying openly at films and scenes outside the window. Anton, the spaceship's heart. Pietro, its mind. Roman, the commander, dexterous and capable, able to fix anything. Wire all the boards, etc., is its hands. Sean, its soul. Always trying to convince them all that they have souls. Chi, methodical, fair, wise. Its conscience. Nell, with her 8-liter diving lungs, its breath. So like they're all part of one body. But they agree that that's idiotic, this metaphor, nonsensical, but unshakable all the same. So, and I think they are chosen to be a certain person, certain temperament, able to have the skills they need and able to work together, obviously. So you can see how they kind of merge into one. There's another place, page 11. How about this one? What in terms of what they are? They feel like they all make an association between Earth and a mother, and this in turn makes them feel like children. They're in their clean-shaven, androgynous bobbing, their regulation shorts and spoonable food, the juice drunk through straws, the birthday bunting, the early nights, the enforced innocence of dutiful days. They all have moments up here of a sudden obliteration of their astronaut selves and a powerful sense of childhood and smallness, their towering parent ever present through the dome of glass.
Does anyone here know if that is actually the way NASA selects astronauts? Do they have complementary qualities as opposed to parallel qualities?
My understanding is they have to have, they need certain people to do certain jobs, like skilled at certain jobs. But in terms of whether they're complementary or, personalities that are so more synchronous, I don't know. Anybody else know the answer to that? Well, we'll have to look it up. So at any rate, there is this sense of these characters as sort of one unit that kind of, we get different aspects of them. Okay, and so let's go on to some of these themes in the book. One is contrasting perspectives. And what did you think of the Las Meninas business about?
Oh, that was so interesting to me.
Yeah.
I was reading on my iPad.
Okay.
So I immediately looked it up.
Yeah.
And studied it, just about everything they were talking about, like who is the focus of the picture. And it was funny in the end, they said, well, it's the dog. Whoever said that, I forget who's.
Yeah. Is everybody with me on this Las Meninas thing? I don't know if everybody did any.
Yes, that was interesting to me. My husband and I go to the museum, and we often look for dogs in the paintings. So it struck me that the dog was the focus of that painting. It's just a game we play.
That's funny. Yeah, I felt puzzled by it. Like, why are we going off into this whole thing about this this Meninas and who's the focus of this painting? And so why do you think, what was she trying to tell us with that? Do you know? Do you have guesses on that? Anybody?
Well, didn't it have to do with, that's what brought, I forget who it was even, who had the painting or a postcard of it.
Yeah, Sean.
That's what brought he and his wife together. That they were in that class together. And that was kind of their first connection, they said. And then she later gave him the postcard and he brought it with him. So it obviously meant something to him. I think, I don't know, it's just kind of a fun aside, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe she was trying to tell us something about having the painting in there.
Anybody want to have a further guess on that one?
I just thought it was a romantic.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought it was.
That maybe he had a significant other and missed the person.
Yeah. They're longing to be with their spouses or their partners.
Can you see then how that relates also to longing to be on Earth or longing to be one with the Earth? They have different perspectives up there. They have a whole different perspective on the Earth. They have a whole different perspective on life. They have everything can be looked at in this book from different perspectives. And I think that was some of the significance of her spending time on the Meninas, is what perspective, where, how do you want to look at this? There are lots of different ways. And she had a photo. Do you remember that? Of her mother.
Yeah.
And what was her mom doing? Does anybody remember?
Looking up at the sky and building.
Right.
On a late moon landing day.
Right. So that's another perspective. When you're looking down and you're looking up at them or them, okay, supposed astronauts. So I think that was some of why she wanted us to think about this. Is there many different kinds of perspectives that one can have? Somebody already mentioned another theme in this book. Who said something about merging or the mundane versus
the extraordinary.
extraordinary. Yeah, that anybody want to comment on that theme of the book?
Yeah, it's just like the day to day, it's mundane what they do and their schedule they have to follow and their experiments they're working on. And yeah, it is kind of just everyday stuff. Yet if they look out the window, they've got the earth, which which they look at in awe
Yes,
on all the different parts of the earth, the typhoon.
right.
She had that in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just that the awesome versus
Yes, yes.
get up and do this every day.
And that must be another really disorienting part of it, is to be looking at something so incredible and yet, you're trying to chase beads of water or things that got away from you, or how am I going to go to the bathroom, or, I've got to follow this little minute schedule here to do these things. And yeah,
It's also the same as it is for us, because yes, forget it, right? I mean, like, we look out the window and it's awesome too, but we don't always think about it.
but don't always think about it. Yeah, that's true.
I think it was chapter 13 that she talked about and compared the Big Bang Theory, the moment of creation through the months of the year, and how long it took for things to happen. And I thought that was absolutely extraordinary.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet, yeah, it feels so fragile at this point. Of course, I don't know. She mentions who's the comedian, Phil, who says, makes the jokes about the earth, like we got to save the earth. It's like
Yeah, let's see. It's not Mort Saul. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Well, anyway, there's this comedian. He's a very sharp guy, but he says, what everybody's always talking about, save the earth. He's saying the earth is fine. Okay. It's going to just shake us right off. Like, oh, and then it'll just keep on going. Okay. And recreate or do whatever it has to do. So, yeah, the the earth, it's
I thought that was a really important theme. I don't know if you are planning on talking about that, but the fragility of it all. I mean, for the astronauts in this old space station where there are cracks,
yeah,
it's just, the thin piece of metal keeps them alive. But then looking
right.
at the earth, just looking at the earth and realizing, A, how beautiful it is and how lucky we are in this huge universe to have this beautiful planet, and yet how fragile it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
And what we're doing to it.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
She says, we don't see the trees for the forest. Here's this huge earth. You can't see all these little things that we're doing to it constantly to disrupt it. Yeah. So that's certainly another aspect of the book, this sort of spectacular versus this mundane and ordinary. And then there's the spiritual aspects of the book. And is this a spiritual novel for you? Was this a spiritual experience reading this in some ways? Sounded like it partly. Well, oh, yeah, go ahead, Melissa. You have to unmute yourself.
I have two different microphones, so I have to do it two different ways. I felt like it was kind of spiritual for me in a way because I felt like I could get lost in the language, especially of the description of the lands and the colors and that part of it. Um, I I didn't really going back to something you asked about the characters, that just kind of seemed like just extra that wasn't needed in the book for me. Like I clearly know that there are, astronauts and they're doing things up there, but for me it was just more of putting the Earth kind of like in perspective of space and just what they see. And I think the description near one of the last chapters of the time frame of like when things were created was just fascinating to me. Like I read those passages multiple times because I was like kind of trying to wrap my head around it. And then I think it kind of concluded with kind of how the earth will eventually go away potentially. And I was just like, uh, it just kind of made me stop and think. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
George Carlin is the name of the comedian we were.
Oh, George Carlin. Yeah, that was the one, right? George Carlin said that. Yeah, so does it tackle the big questions of our place in the universe?
Well, to me, it certainly takes it on, I would say. I mean, if you're saying does it answer them? No. I mean, it would be a spectacular, the best, greatest book of all time if it answered those questions. But it does approach those questions. I mean, in a couple places, and again, it's been a while since I read the book, so I was trying to put together my memory before this. I like typed some stuff out on my laptop to try to remember. But the discussion or the thoughts about the Voyager mission, which come up throughout the book in various places, which I think, at least for me, most of us kind of forget that that's out there.
That's right out there.
It's still going. I mean, I think the last that I remember reading about it was the chances are that we're not going to hear any more from it because it's probably still going. And then every once in a while, a radio signal is picked up, like 6 months later.
Wow.
That's how far it's out of the solar system now.
Yeah.
Um, but the thoughts of maybe there really isn't any other life anywhere, that concept or is like they're dealing with that question. Um, and I don't know, kind of I wasn't quite clear. Maybe I made too much of this, that the lunar mission, which is being planned, that they felt kind of their work was diminished by that because they were not going to be part of that lunar mission.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
I wasn't quite clear on. I mean, I do understand it intellectually that well, that's like the adventure, the exciting. People are going back to the moon, and we're just here on this space station, just going around and around for 6 months at a time. I mean, um, anyway, I'm just rambling. Sorry.
Well, I think you said it. Your point was, yes, there is spiritual aspects to it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um,
Can I just
yeah,
say
and when you said,
I have a question
go ahead,
about
sure.
that. So if it's all going to come to an end, and what was it 500 billion years when the sun novas? I don't remember the exact amount. It was a really gigantic amount of years. And when that happens, the Earth will no longer be here, meaning neither will we, unless somehow we move to another planet, which who knows, but I just from a spiritual aspect, just the kind of, we take ourselves so seriously, yet what is the meaning of our existence? If in this amount of time we're going to all be gone anyway. I don't, does that make any sense?
Sure, absolutely. Makes sense. I mean, I think we all question that. I mean, I do. Um, what are these little lives of ours really all about?
Mm-hmm.
And what's our purpose? And when you think of this big picture, big, huge, giant picture, then you feel very, very tiny. Yeah, it's kind of like that thought, Mike, when you said, "Oh, maybe there's nobody anywhere but us. We're all by ourselves here. There's nobody out there anywhere or anything like us, sentient beings here." This is totally depressing. I mean, it's like, wow, what we're just
Well,
this
think
little,
our lifetime, if
yeah,
we live a really long time, it's 100 years and it's nothing in
nothing.
the time space of, yeah.
It gets a little overwhelming, when
Yes.
you start to really absorb the enormity of all of that. And she does bring us to kind of at
Oh,
least
yeah.
somewhat try to absorb it. And it's yeah, it's difficult to think that way. On the other hand, why should we think ourselves so darn special?
Mhm.
Um, and on that line on page 76, there's this whole I found, I'm an artist, so I find things related to art interesting. And there's I think this is Petro. He's talking about her being human and what it means. He says, let's see, there's the right one. Oh, okay. He says humans are beautiful because there's light in their eyes, sometimes destructive, sometimes hurtful, sometimes selfish, but beautiful because alive. And progress is like that, by its nature, alive. So, that's what he's thinking about us. Then there's this comment. Now, who's this? Sean. He's back. Sean is back working on his viewpoints about art and creation. He says, let's see now if I can get us into it. Okay. I'm trying to get started so we can fully get into this piece. The difference between us and humans and nature, if I can describe it way, the difference seems both trivial and insurmountable. She remembers walking into a wood with her father one winter's day when she was 9 or 10, and there was a full-size tree that they almost walked straight past until they realized it was man-made. It was a sculpture made from tens of thousands of sticks glued together, woven to form the appearance of knots and barks and boles and branches. You couldn't tell it apart from the other bare, wintry trees, except that once you knew it was an artwork, it pulsed with a different energy, a different atmosphere. This feels to her what separates her universe, this is she, I think, now talking, from Sean's. A tree made by the hand of nature and a tree made by the hand of an artist. It's barely any difference at all, and the profoundest difference in the world. So that just kind of really blew me away there on the spiritual aspect of it. That, maybe our creativity, maybe that little spark in our mind is as close as we get to God.
Yeah.
We're touching that thing that made this beautiful earth, or if I cannot, whatever it is, that specialness there is in that. And I think maybe humans, that we all are striving all the time to try to put our finger on that special thing that makes it so that we don't, in some sense, we feel one with it and not separated and alone, like we're some little lonely anomaly here in the universe. So I don't know, anybody else want to comment on all that? Becca, you have anything to say on all that? No, I guess not. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
I'll say something. I feel like I'm talking too much. Um, in regard to art and God and humanity, I mean, there's the underlying thing that's similar is creativity. So you could think of God as supposedly creating the universe and creating all of this. When you create a work of art, it's kind of godlike. You can do whatever you want to do with it. And I felt that in the book too, the way the book was written, that there was an artistic, definitely the way, looking at the earth, looking at the weather as they did their orbits, and the well, the big storm. I'm blocking on what it's called.
The
Not a
typhoon.
hurricane. Yeah, the
Is it-
typhoon.
Typhoon.
And
Yeah.
then
typhoon.
watching the currents, not only with the typhoon, but just the clouds, the way the clouds moved. And it was very artistic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So, jumping on what Marilyn said, I think there is a creator in every one of us, like the great creator who created the universe. But a little bit of God is in each and every one of us. And like what I make out of it is we can be God-like too, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. When we're not in our destructive mode, we can be godlike. What was it, Carl Sagan, if we could just survive our adolescence as a species, maybe we could do great things. But we may not survive.
Oh, I love that. I don't think we're going to make it. Do you?
Who knows? Okay. And just one little side note for those who are interested in the literature over relating this particular themes to other literary themes. There's comparisons in her work to Melville and to Virginia Woolf, because the characters are known by their thought fragments and their immersion in a subject with a spiritual search to it. And so this is not an uncommon theme from that point of view. It's just put in an uncommon context, I think. So the last question, not last, but almost last, is this a climate change novel, and in what ways?
I mean,
Yeah, Becca?
in a very simple way, I can see it as a climate change novel because it does it awakens you to the beauty of our planet from up there more than it would ever awaken you while you're in the midst of it down here on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's a very profound awakening, which can change your thinking about how you think about the planet forever.
And maybe how we go about living on our planet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the destruction of the typhoon. How they could see the islands being partially washed away. And yeah.
I remember the comment about that atmosphere, that very thin layer is
Mhm.
we're alive down here.
Yeah.
And we can think about what we're doing to it.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of speaks to being a climate change novel.
Yeah. There may not be places that are livable on our planet and not too far in the future. Yeah. So there's a question at the end. This guy, Krikavin, he's the astronaut that I think Anton has on his picture on his wall, right? He's the
Anton's hero. Anton's hero.
Yeah, he's this hero, right? So this is the very end of the novel, right? When this comes up here about what is this guy? Krikalev, the Sergei Krikalev. So the question that they ask is, are we writing the future of humanity or is it writing us? And Krikalev, who is sort of the symbol of a god to him in some ways, he says he knows that something is ending, that all good things must go this way toward fracture and fallout. So many astronauts and cosmonauts have passed through here, this orbiting laboratory, this science experiment in the carefully controlled nurturing of peace. It's going to end, and it will end through the restless spirit of endeavor that made it possible in the first place, striking out further, deeper, the moon, Mars, the moon, further yet, a human being was not made to stand still. Yeah. So that's us. And then he says, Krikalev seems to look out now from the photograph as a god looks on its creation with a patient forbearance. Humankind is a band of sailors, he's thinking, a brotherhood of sailors out on the oceans. Humankind is not this nation or that. It is all together, always together, come what may. And the last thing she talks about is the crack that's growing in the sea.
Yeah.
I guess it'll last until 2030 when they deorbit. At least I hope it hangs in there.
One other thing was,
Mhm.
and I can't remember if this was in the book
Yeah,
or I can't remember, but talking about the decommissioning of it.
yeah,
The cooperation that's gone into creating it.
Yeah.
And keeping it going among nations. And we're moving completely away
away
from
from
that.
that, right?
It's now becoming an individual
Right.
going to the.
Like Elon Musk or somebody. Yeah, it's not.
It's like a business
Yeah,
almost.
right, right.
Instead of
Yeah,
international cooperation.
yeah. The repository of disintegrating diplomatic cooperation, I think was what we said at the beginning. Yeah,
There was an
well,
interesting interconnection with me reading this book and two Nova. For those of you who watch Nova on PBS, there were two episodes on the International Space Station. One, how it
wow.
was built, and the other is how it was repaired when catastrophe happened, and then an animation of it ending its life. And
Oh, wow.
burning in fire as it re-enters the atmosphere, breaking into parts, and they show a big chunk of it ending up on the ocean floor.
Oh,
So
wow.
leaving debris behind, as we humans always do. So if you can catch the Nova episode, I think you would all be fascinated.
Yeah. Wow. And you saw these while you were reading the book? Oh, you're
I read the
muted.
book. I read the book, and then within 2 weeks,
Oh,
these
you saw.
Nova episodes were on, which was just fascinating timing.
Must have made it so much more meaningful to
Oh,
you
yeah.
after reading the
Yes.
book. Yeah. Wow. That was a lucky. Yeah. Well, anybody else have any comments they want to throw in there
I'm
before we
just
stop?
thinking about the debris that he's talking about and how that was part of the book too. But they're them collecting their waste and storing it somewhere, and they couldn't let anything be loose or even a little, pearl of water. They had to be so careful about it. But also the waste in space, how the space station had to keep making little maneuvers to avoid, hitting it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we just create a mess, don't we, as humans? That's what we
Wherever
do.
This- a trail of destruction.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that the comedian we were talking about previously is George Carlin, and on YouTube you can find "Saving the Planet." There's a little bit that he does on exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, any other comments anybody like to make?
I wanted to say you were talking about cooperation between nations, and one thing I was struck in the book by was looking down at the earth. There are no borders. There are no borders between countries. It's Earth. It's the world, and there are no borders.
Yeah, that was neat. It was neat the way it all flowed together.
Right.
Yeah, when they moved so quickly from place to place, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was. Well, thank you everybody for sharing yourselves and the discussion with me. I enjoyed talking with you about this book, so thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you.
That was really wonderful.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Susan.
much.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan and Becca.
All right. Well,
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
somebody will get this.